Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.com. Again, that's dealtohealteas.com. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Girl Dad Discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe the relationship between a daughter and her father is one of the most important relationships a young lady can have. And therefore, my mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by sharing the voices of girl dads to the world. So check out our podcast on every platform where podcasts can be listened to. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel. Again, that's the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with your host, Ernest James. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your podcast listening platforms. And make sure you guys go and check out our new podcast page on YouTube. It is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, formerly the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast alone. But now we have several podcasts that we are offering for your listening and for your viewing pleasure. So make sure you guys go to YouTube and check out our network channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. All right. Also, make sure you guys check out our partner podcast, which is the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. On that podcast, my guest and I, who are also girl dads like myself, talk about raising our daughters and the relationships between the dad and the daughter. I started that podcast as a result to help combat the narrative of the fatherless daughter and the absent father. And so you guys would love to get in on those conversations with myself and other girl dads on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure you follow that podcast on all of your podcast listening platforms, as well as check it out on our YouTube channel, because that is one of the podcasts that is on the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network channel. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Also, our product of the week. As you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we stay on the air is by bringing you amazing products in order for you to purchase to help us keep the lights on. So our product of the week for this week is our Purpose Journal, as well as our Purpose Planner, because I believe we need to journal in order to keep track of where we've been and where we are in our lives, as well as planning for our future. So you guys can get your copy of the Purpose Journal and the Purpose Planner on Amazon. The links are in the descriptions below, so make sure you guys check that out. All right. So we're going to jump right in. And today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Paul. How you doing?
Hey, I am excited to be on your show, Deal to Heal. And I am telling you, tonight is going to be an amazing night because people are going to heal when they hear my story.
Right. All right. Love it. I love it. First of all, let me say thank you for being here. Thank you for being on because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you are here with me tonight, and I definitely appreciate it. And because we had a little conversation before we got started, I already know that you are a girl dad. So just like I asked all my girl dads, two questions straight off the bat. Number one, what does it mean for you to be a girl dad?
I tell you what, it means a lot to be a girl dad because without my two girls, I learn about compassion. I learn about love. I learn about tuning my ear to listen to them. I learn to be open and honest about relationships, about hardships in life, and also about dealing with people one on one or in a group. I always taught my two girls and to have emotional intelligence because
Mhm.
if you want to go further in life, you need to have emotional intelligence.
Right, right. Okay, okay. My second question was going to be tell me something your daughters have taught you, but you just named a couple things that you already learned. So I guess you kind of already answered it. So Paul, do me a favor. We're going to jump right in it. Do me a favor, introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Well, I am Paul Lamar Hunter. I am the 19th child out of 21 children. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my mother birthed 21 natural children by my father. So my father, he was laying the pipe and my mother was getting a delight. So 17 of us living today, 63 grandchildren, and 87 great grandchildren. And I'm telling you, all right, Mr. James, don't mess with me because I have a lot of siblings.
Definitely, definitely. And you know what? I was having a conversation recently because I tell people I love community, right? And I kind of go back because my grandmother was the baby of 12, and then she had 10, and then my mother was one of the 10, and then my mother had nine, and so I'm like, we got a nice little tribe there. But yeah, y'all definitely outdid us, right?
Oh, most definitely. I believe that we are the biggest family in the world. And my mother, I have to say this. She wasn't a perfect person. My father wasn't perfect, but they were the perfect couple that God had put together. And no matter what had happened in life, all the adversities, all the difficulties, all the hardships, they stayed together. And that right there is important because when you have a union between a husband and a wife, you got to stick to it. And
Yeah.
that's how you become winners. And that's how you learn to triumph over adversity.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, man. And even you mentioned about your parents, the same thing with my mom and dad. Definitely some ups and downs, in our life, my lifetime. Let me put that. I never they sure they went through some stuff before I came along. But even in my time that I remember us, and I give my testimony about us living the American dream. We had the house and the cars and the dog, and like the whole American dream, and then lost all of it, right? And ended up, my whole family, 12 of us, sleeping in one bedroom in my grandmother's house, and she had
Mm.
a small 3-bedroom ranch, so you got 12 people, excuse me, in one bedroom. And so, excuse me, but definitely even that ups and downs of that, my mom and dad stuck it out together, and they was together until my mom passed away a couple years ago, and my dad's still here. But yeah, that was my first example of a covenant of marriage, like really what that looked like to stick together through those ups and downs, especially with the kids. So yeah, I definitely agree with you 100%. So let's go back. Man, 19. 19th, should I say? So let's go back and just tell us a little bit, even about those early years, and what was your experience, some of your childhood experiences that helped to mold you into the man that you are today.
It's important to go back in the past and talk about your childhood because my childhood was great for the first 8 years. But then it became difficult because my brother Thomas passed away in a house fire, and I have to say this: um, the house that had caught on fire was given to my mother and father because they were about to become evicted and they had 72 hours. So a man showed up and showed my mother and dad this 18-bedroom home. And as they was walking through the home, and the guy told them, the only thing that I want from you and your significant loved one is $1 for this home. My mom did not get paid until Friday. My father did not get paid until Friday. They did not have 4 quarters. They did not have 100 pennies in their pocket. That man went into his wallet and he gave my mother that dollar to purchase the home for $1. That home was a blessing to the Hunter family. So years later, the house was on fire. My brother Michael, he got everybody out except Thomas and myself. So Thomas and I was trapped on the second floor of this 18-bedroom house. And I remember the fireman coming in and he felt Thomas' pulse and he said that he's alive, but the pulse is weak. And he told him, he said, we have to get out of here. So as they started to bring my brother and myself down the stairs, fire was everywhere. So my mother grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So she was so old fashioned. My mother had two garbage cans, one filled with sugar, the other filled with flour. They took the contents, threw them out, placed me in one and placed my brother in one, ran through the fire, and we exit out of the house. And next minute I know that we were in Thomas and I was in the hospital. Thomas passed away and I recover after 3 days. But it was adversity after adversity because 9 months later, my father was drove home to Fayetteville, Mississippi to go see his mom. Mom told him, stay in the house, stay in the house. And my father said, no, I want to go out, hang out with my friends and family. My father died in a car crash. Mm-hmm. So those back-to-back adversities really shaped my life. But I grew up with a lot of anger. I grew up with a lot of resentment because I did not have my father in my life. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what I'm saying. Fathers play a significant role in their children's life. So you should be happy that a father wanted to spend time with his daughter, with his son. Give them that opportunity to raise their children. I'm asking you to please give them the opportunity to raise their children. And so as I was growing up, like I said, I grew up with a lot of resentment, a lot of anger and bitterness because my father left me when I was 8 years old. But what really happened is my older siblings, my older brothers became a substitute dad for me, gave me discipline, gave me structure, gave me guidance, even for my sisters, they were helping me with my education because I had a speech impediment. But what I learned is that I had to practice and practice and practice. in order to get better. But everything that happened in my life made me the man that I am today, the 19th child out of 21 children. Like I told you earlier, my mom and my dad wasn't perfect, but they were the perfect couple that God had put together.
Yeah, yeah, man. And I want to go back because even when you started the story and you talked about the house, and I was like, okay, and it was like $1. I'm like, that was a blessing. First of all, a 18 bedroom house. You said eight bedroom house. This
18
18 bedroom.
bedroom house.
I had to
That's
make
a
sure I heard that right? Because I was like,
that's
that's a
how
big
good.
house.
Yes, that's how good God is. When you are facing adversity, your back is against the wall. Guess what? That's when God comes and show up and show
Definitely,
out.
definitely. Yeah, and he definitely showed up and you guys, man. And I was sharing my story, just that what knowing where we were, and like I said, we are living the American dream as some would believe, and to lose everything and being old enough to remember that, you know what I'm saying? I
Yes.
definitely can understand, how much of a blessing that was for your mom and dad to not only to be blessed, first of all, with the opportunity to have a home that could fit your family. You know what I'm saying? And then the opportunity to get that home for $1. That's a whole nother thing. And then the third one, we talking about threes, the third one, for not even to have the dollar to put down, but the guy to give you $1 just for you to give it back as a down payment. That in itself is just amazing. And again, talk about how God works, and my condolences are on the loss of your brother and your father. And because I know that was a definite change in lifestyle and changing things, like you said, how it affected you. But one thing that you said that I really congratulate was that your older brothers stepped up and still were able to give you the guidance that you needed, that maybe your father didn't have time to give you. You know what I'm saying? Because I know even now there are a couple people, that I know personally who I was having a conversation with. It was like, their sons, needed some extra guidance, and the son's fathers wasn't necessarily in their lives like that. And they're like, reaching out to their father, and their brothers, like, look, my son needs some, extra guidance. And they didn't really, one taking that time to help these young men out. And so the fact that with losing your father, because I'm sure that took an effect on them too, you know what I'm saying? But then not only for them, for all of you guys to lose your father, but then even them to still be like, all right, they're a little older than you. And so there were some lessons that your dad was able to instill in them, and they still could pass those lessons on to you. And I think that's just a blessing even within itself. And like you said, even your sisters, helping out, definitely was a blessing. I want to go a little deeper though, because I know that's like the beginning. I'm sure there's more that happened after that, but even that beginning, like you said, with having that example of faith and being able to overcome some things, like you started early, right? You started early. It's like, some of the lessons that even in my own life, as a child, I don't think, outside of losing, us losing everything. And then I don't really think that's my lesson. That was my parents' lesson. I just was a child along for the ride, right? So I didn't really lose a house or anything because I hadn't worked for anything. I was only about 5 or 6 around that time. But for you guys to get started, and you to be going through these changes as early as you were, and then I'm sure it didn't stop there. I'm sure there was some things that came after, and even we can, you can share some of those things that kind of came after, other hardships that you guys had to deal with. But what were some of the things that you picked up along the way to even help you still, even at that young age, be able to get over some of those things, the loss of your brother, the loss of your dad, you know what I mean? And the loss of the house. I don't know if the house was completely, destroyed from the fire. You didn't mention, but even if that's the case, then that's, another thing on top of that.
Well, the house was completely destroyed, and we were at our auntie's home, and I'm gonna tell you something that God always worked in mysterious ways. So once that happened, we were able to go to another big house that was a 15-bedroom home, and so
Hmm.
it everything worked out in our favor. But I really do want to thank the community in the city of Racine, Wisconsin, because they poured out their blessings upon the
Hmm.
Hunter family life. I'm talking about my brother's funeral. It was like a rock star, a superstar funeral. Even for my dad funeral, it was like a rock star funeral. It was like a celebrity funeral. The people always came to our need. I remember a time, my brother, kid you not, it was Christmas Eve. We did not have a Christmas tree. We did not have any toys. Do you know a knock at the door reveal unexpected gifts from unexpected people? I'm talking about toys, Christmas trees, food. You understand? They
Hmm.
gave and gave and gave. So the community, people in the community, Racine, Wisconsin, I love you. Always came to the Hunter family aid. I'm talking about it's that's the reason why it's important that people go out get my book, but also go out and get my mother's book, Love and Charity: The Life Story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. Because I have to emphasize that when somebody had gave my mother that house for $1, it told my mother that she had to go out and help other people. So
Hmm.
my mother started the first homeless shelter in the state of Wisconsin as an African woman. As an African woman, she started the first homeless shelter in the city of Racine, Wisconsin. And that shelter stayed active for like 45 years until the doors has closed. So what I learned in my story is that when you are in a position to assist someone, give, give, because somebody gave to the Hunter family.
Hmm.
So now that I'm in position, I just give because somebody had gave to us when we were in need.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely agree with you, because one of the things that we went through, even after we lost our home, we ended up getting another home that my grandmother had purchased, and after some years, that home needed some renovations or whatever, and it didn't quite go right, and ended up messing up the whole house. But my family again found ourselves needing shelter, and there were people in our church, my aunt, ladies in the church, different people who were in our lives that was like, hey, come, you can come stay with us, for a time being until, my mom and dad was able to actually buy, another home and, start that over, which was great. But those lessons stayed with me as an adult, even as I grew up. And so even after I got married, my sons always, and I think it probably just was a part of God's plan, but they always were connected to their friends who fathers weren't necessarily in their lives, right? And so for whatever reasons, there were times where they needed to come stay with us because of whatever was going on at home. And so, shoot, over the 10 years of my marriage, I don't think we ever went 1 year without somebody staying with us. You know what I mean? It was always like somebody, one person or another. And we always had that open door policy. Like if there's somebody in need that needs just nothing more than a roof over their head, as long as I got a roof over my head, that's always going to be a place for you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I never forgot that there were people in our lives that provided us with a roof over our head, even if it was nothing more than that. Maybe it was my grandmother, again, my grandmother's house being a 3 bedroom, and they were already full, because they had other kids. You know what I'm saying? My dad's baby sister was the youngest, so they had other kids, along before we came. And so to take that 3 bedroom ranch house, no basement, just a regular small 3 bedroom ranch, and move in 12 people, you know what I mean? They didn't have to do that, but they did. They took out that time and opened up their arms for us. And then again, as time went on and we needed that again, there were other people in our lives that did the same thing, which makes me now still be like, hey, my door is open. I just had three people, 3 families stay with me this year alone. But it's just like, hey, if you need it, like I said, if you need a roof over your head and I have a roof over my head, you don't have to sleep outside, because I didn't have to sleep outside because somebody opened up the door for me,
Yep.
and so I definitely share them sentiments that you have, and I think that's the key to us, as a community, as a nation, that's the key to us being better, is really looking out for one another and caring for one another, and I think a lot of with social media and this whole just new thing that's like me, it can't be all about you, because if
Yep.
it's all about you, then what about the next man? You may be doing okay, but what about the next man? And so I
Hmm.
think when we start to, again, the Bible says, love thy neighbor as thyself, and we really start caring for our neighbor as much as we care for ourselves, then we'll really be in a better space. Um, but I want to get back to you mentioned about the homeless shelter and your mom starting the homeless shelter. Was there ever a time where, even though the homeless shelter was started as a safe haven for others, was there ever a time where you guys maybe even found yourself back, needing the homeless shelter for your own family or your own situations?
No, no. Well, when it came to the homeless shelter, my mother did some great work into the community, and so I could tell you this, that I remember that when I moved out of my mother's house and got my own place, and then I had to come back home, and my mother told me that I could stay at the homeless shelter. I did not have a problem with that. I stayed there for a couple of years and saved up a lot of money. I used it as a stepping stone. You
Mhm.
understand? But the information that I gathered there from so many men and women, and as a 53-year-old, that's the reason why I don't do any drugs. I do not drink any alcohol or liquor, none of that, because I do not want to make the same mistakes some of the former residents did
Mhm.
living at Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. So for me to be there and watch them go to AA meetings and have conversations with them and find out their background, where they came from, and now since they overcame their addiction, they were able to bounce back. And what I learned is there are so many talented people that had fallen down, but they
Mhm.
were able to bounce back. Those are the stories of a true American men and women that came through the doors of love and charity. And people that are listening to this story right here, let me tell you this: you can bounce back from anything.
Yeah, yeah, and that's even part of your story, because again, you've found yourself there, definitely learning from the people and the residents that was there, but that wasn't where you stayed. You end up bouncing back yourself and going to college and writing a book and things of that nature. So tell us a little bit about that journey from starting there and be like, you know what, let me go, you know, bounce back myself to position of where you are now.
Hey, let me tell you this. I stayed at Love and Charity Homeless Shelter while I was in college. Okay.
Mhm.
While I was in college, I studied there. I learned. It made me very, very focused. I even wrote my first book there. No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. So, hey,
Mhm.
look what Love and Charity Homeless Shelter has done for me. My story has been told in countless newspaper, magazine publications. Do you understand that? So I'm so excited about my mother's book. I'm so excited about my book because both books have been combined together into a screenplay. So I signed a deal 2 years ago with Tailflix. Now we are in the process of getting all the characters together. It's going to be an amazing movie. Just imagine growing up in a city of 90,000 and your story is being told into a movie and it's going to just surprise the world that a woman birthed 21 children. Do you know it took my mother 15 years to birth 21 children? My mother has won more championships than Bill Russell. My mother's had won more championships. I'm telling you the truth. Than Tom Brady. My mother has won more championships than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My mother and father are true winners. That's the reason why people should go out and get my mother's book, Love and Charity, the life story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. And it is written, listen to this, it's written by a former resident named Dennis James Woods. Isn't that amazing?
Mhm.
Isn't that amazing? His story is a from poor to rich. Isn't that amazing? You can be poor in the ghetto, in a homeless shelters, sleeping on the street, and you can make it to the top. You can literally make it to the top. And I'm telling people today, please go out and purchase my mother's book and go out and get my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child.
Yeah, yeah, and I like the play on the names. Her book is Love and Charity of the shelter, and your book is No Love, No Charity. It's just like so I love that play on words, even with the names of the book. But let's talk a little bit about your success as the 19th child. Again, 19 children is a lot, and even if it was 21 people that you can kind of get lost in that, right? What, let alone whether it's 21 family members or 21 classmates or 21 work employees or whatever. You can kind of get lost in that many people, but yet you were able to not only remain strong but even to make it out and to push forward as that 19th child, to be able to stand out. So tell us a little bit about your determination, your fortitude, the things that kind of helped you stay focused in order to not only just be one of the number, to be like, okay, I'm one of the 21, but not only just be one of the 21, but I'm the 19th of the 21 and I'm successful.
Yeah, I am the 19th of 21 natural children that my mom birthed. And I'm telling you, it took a lot of faith, fortitude, and determination because I come from the inner city, my brother. I literally come from the inner city and walking into an institution with so much burden put on you because I don't only represent myself, but I was representing my siblings, my mom, my dad in the inner city. But when I walked into Upper Iowa University and I made it to the top of the steps and I opened up the door and I looked up. And when I looked up, I said, I can only go up in this world. And ever since I graduated in 2012 with a bachelor's of science in business administration from Upper Iowa University, brother, I have been going up. I was profiled twice in Ebony magazine. In Ebony magazine. And guess what? I'm getting ready to make an appearance on the Jennifer Hudson show. I'm getting ready to make an appearance on the Kelly Clarkson show. So I'm telling your listener, God always provide. God always make a way. When you think he will never make a way, he will always make a way. So my success, I share my success with not only my siblings, but I share my success with people that been in my position, that have no hope, that says, I can't do this. I declare today, if a guy like me, Paul Lamar Hunter, the 19th child, can come from the ghetto, come from the hood, and go to an institution and graduate, you can do it yourself. You really
All
can.
right. All right, I definitely I can feel your passion, right? And I can't wait to watch your interviews when you are able to once those things come about. And I'm definitely looking forward to not only reading the books, but definitely seeing the movie when you guys get that done. Please make sure you come back here. We can have this conversation. Be like, hey, it's done, Ernest. I would love to have to talk about that experience. You know, is your mom still here? I know you lost your dad.
Yeah, my mom passed away 4 years ago. It's been four
Okay.
years since my mom has passed away, and my brothers and sisters are still struggling with that issue to this day. I never forget what my mom said to my siblings. She said, "My last three children will not take my death hard." She said that to my older siblings. She said, "My last three children will not take my death hard because they are going to be prepared for it. And
Mm.
they are the one that's going to hold you guys together." And it's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. And my brothers and sisters are still dealing with the passing of my mom, and they just still, grieving because your
Mhm.
parents are like a superhero. You understand?
Yeah.
And no matter what happened between the relationship with my brothers and sisters or with my mom and us, but we looked at our mom as a super mom. You understand? You remember the movie Wonder Woman? My
Mhm.
mother was like that. You understand? You know, she was a woman that was in the community and always prayed. And my mother used to pray when I was young, I didn't understand it. My mother used to call out all of her kids' name before
Mhm.
God. I couldn't understand that. But now, as a 53-year-old, as I go to bed and sometime throughout the day, I put my kids before God. I call out their names. I call out my granddaughter's name. I call out my siblings' names. Do you understand that? And it's just
Mhm.
strange. But I learned the power of prayer. I learned that the power of prayer always, always changes people's lives.
Amen. Amen. I agree with that 100%. Man, Mr. Paul, I definitely appreciate you being on. I appreciate you coming. Um, I want you to have the last word. I want you to have the last word, and I definitely want you to leave us with word of advice, motivation, however you feel, and to leave us with your social media handles and where we can find you to follow you. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my
Mhm.
listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you guys had been listening to the podcast and you're wondering how can I start my own podcast, you can get your copy of my ebook, Start Your Podcast Now ebook, in only 3 steps, and it teaches you how to start your podcast in 3 steps, right? So I wrote the ebook because I was getting so many phone calls about how do I start a podcast, and I was helping a lot of people, but it seemed like it never stopped. After I helped somebody else called me and say, Ernest, help me with the podcast. So I wrote the ebook, Start Your Podcast Now. You can get your copy at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com to learn how to start your own podcast. Also, make sure you guys go check out my personal website, which is the dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org. Make sure you guys go there and check out the website in order to have me find out, first of all, more about me, more about the things that I have going on with the podcast, and also have me come out to be a speaker at your school or at your organization, as well as not only did I write the ebook Start Your Podcast Now, but I actually turned it into a workshop, and I'm now facilitating those workshops at schools. I've done it at a grammar school, and I'm actually now working with the students at a high school, teaching the students how to start their own podcast. And so if you want to have me to come out to book me to come out to be a speaker or to facilitate a workshop or something for you, for your organization or your school, again, go to dealhealfulfill.org, or you can just email me at info@dealhealfulfill.org in order to have me come out to be a speaker at your next event. Also, go to ebooksbyejames.com in order to check out the ebooks that we have available there. There are several ebooks along with the Start Your Podcast Now ebook. There's the From Males to Men ebook, Forgiving Me, the 4 Steps to Self-Forgiveness. And there is an ebook called The 4 Core, which is the 4 core values that every daughter should get from her father. And that ebook is also one of the segments of our podcast, the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, where we discuss those 4 values with the other girl dads, talking about how important they are into the lives of our daughters. So again, make sure you guys go check out ebooksbyejames.com in order to look at purchase the ebooks that we have. And also there's an opportunity for you to become an affiliate of the ebooks and earn 50% commission whenever you sign up to be an affiliate for the ebooks. Again, go to ebooksbyejames.com to check that out. And also check out our inspirational teas at deal2healteas.com. That's deal, the number 2, healteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go and check out our inspirational teas at the deal2healteas.com, as well as check out our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, as well as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast logos on our tees. Make sure you guys go and check those out. Last but not least, I have been blessed the last year or so to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every other month, talking about forgiveness, what it means to forgive, who forgiveness is for, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, just really talking about everything concerning forgiveness, because I think that forgiveness is a big key to healing ourselves, our families, and our world. And so make sure you guys check that out. Again, that's the forgivenessmission.com. So whenever you listen to this, either a workshop just ended or there's one coming up. So make sure you go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for the free virtual workshop. You can take it on your phone or on your laptop. And you can go to forgivenessmission.com or just go to Eventbrite and look up the forgiveness workshop held by the forgivenessmission.com. So make sure you guys go and check that out. Once again, Mr. Paul, I want to say thank you so very much for being on. Thank you for taking out the time to share your story and your expertise with me and my listeners. I really appreciate it. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
My last words tonight is that I know that we are facing some economic changes here in America. I know there's a lot of men and women that are struggling financially. The storm is real. I feel your pain. What happened on Saturday was an indication that in your storm, as Trump rose up and said, fight, fight, fight. And I need everybody to understand that you have to fight. Yes, you're going to struggle. Yes, we are facing some difficult times. We are in a financial crisis at this moment, and our government officials are not telling us the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, I just ask that you fight. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't throw hope out of the window. Don't do it, because we have faced so many challenges in America and we was able to overcome. And believe me, we will overcome. We will fight and we will overcome. And we will be winners and we will be stronger like never before. If you want to receive my information or more information about me, please visit my website, paullamarhunter.com. I am on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, under Paul Lamar Hunter. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and God bless you.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in once again to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.